Mattel's new Hot Wheels. Collect them by themselves.
It's up to Luke Skywalker and his land speeder to get us out.
What's that? No.
A no-nonsense cowl induction hood you can order that actually feeds in extra air when you accelerate.
We're going back to the 1970s, complete with disco and bell-bottoms. But nostalgia isn't the only reason we're here. We're going to look at 20 things from this revolutionary decade that might be in your attic and could help you become wealthy.
When Apple invented the personal computer, we were all alone in the world.
Apple computers. The real heavy hitter of 1970s technology is the early Apple computer. The Apple I, released in 1976, was the first product from the company that would be a tech giant. Hand-built by Steve Wozniak and sold by Steve Jobs, only about 200 were ever produced. And if you happen to have one of these gathering dust in your garage, you may be sitting on a gold mine. Working Apple I computers have sold at auction for over $200,000. But keep in mind that working conditions are important while using old devices. Nevertheless, if an item is uncommon enough, collectors may find value even in non-functional forms. Do some study on that outdated tech before discarding it, because you could be amazed at how much it's worth.
TIE Fighter and X-Wing fighter. Now your children can relive our great space battles or collect our wonderful Star Wars companions.
Star Wars figures. Another among the most prized collectibles of the 1970s are Star Wars action figures. Kenner made these figures, which were released in 1977 after the first Star Wars movie came out, and they can cost anywhere from a few $100s to tens of thousands of dollars if they're rare and in immaculate condition. The rare rocket-firing Boba Fett prototype is the most precious figure, with a price tag of over $100,000. Aside from Jawas, who can fetch hundreds of dollars in perfect condition, other highly prized figures are Luke Skywalker with his double telescoping lightsaber and vinyl cape. Their historical relevance in the annals of toys and cinema, coupled with their rarity, are what makes these figures so highly valued. Figures still in their original packaging, especially on those unpunched cards, are the most valuable.
And it's always handy when it's time for PEZ candy. Just fill them with the PEZ candy refill.
PEZ Dispensers. PEZ dispensers are those oddball candy dispensers with character heads that have been around since the 1950s, but their popularity and range of designs really took off in the 1970s. These days, rare examples of vintage PEZ dispensers from the era can bring up to $200, and they can be shockingly valuable. And when it comes to their value, uniqueness is essential. The most sought-after dispensers are frequently the ones with production flaws, limited editions, and popular characters on them, and another important factor to consider is the dispenser's condition. Mint condition items in their original packaging fetch the greatest prices. The Make-A-Face set, the Mr. PEZ dispenser, and character dispensers with well-known cartoon or motion picture characters from the era are some of the most valued PEZ dispensers from the 1970s. Now let's change gears and move from sweets to tiny cars that could make you rich.
Curves or stunt action sets from Mattel. Hot Wheels has it all.
Hot Wheels. 1970s Hot Wheels vehicles have also grown in value as collector's items, the Red Line era from 1968 to 1977. So called because of the characteristic red line on the tires. They're usually represented to be the most valuable cars. The cost of these vintage Hot Wheels could vary, anywhere from $100 to more than $3,000 for a very rare or in-demand model that's in perfect condition. Of the 16 car models that were initially introduced, the Sweet 16 are the most valued. These little automobiles are extremely valuable because of their nostalgic appeal and historical relevance in the history of toys. The most valuable cars are those that are in perfect condition, especially if they're still in their original packaging. A car's value could be greatly increased by unique colors or variants, and one of the most valuable Hot Wheels prototypes is the 1969 pink rear-loading Beach Bomb, worth over $100,000. Up next, an item that revolutionized home entertainment.
I'd like an Atari 2600 system, please.
Tell me, you're buying it because it plays hundreds of fun and challenging games, right?
The Atari 2600 console. When it first debuted in 1977, the Atari 2600 was a revolutionary home video game device that contributed to the formation of the video game industry. With prices for basic systems starting at $100 and going up to over $1,000 for special editions or entire sets in original packaging, these consoles have now become desirable collector's items. The most sought-after models are the ones in perfect condition that still have all of the original parts, controllers, power adapters, and boxes. Higher prices can be gotten for limited editions, such as the Sears Telegames branded version. The games themselves may be quite valuable as well. Rarities like Red Sea Crossing or Air Raid can fetch several $1,000s, and even more common games, if in their original packaging and good condition, can fetch $20 to $50. Speaking of technical revolutions, let's boot up to the most valuable 70s tech treasure.
And some of your friends are dolls. But Barbie's the doll with lots of friends of her own.
Barbie Dolls. Barbie dolls have captivated young girls since their 1959 release, and their imaginative new design saw a boom in popularity in the 1970s. Released in the early 70s, the talking busy Barbie is a notable example of this period. This high-tech doll was more interactive than ever thanks to her functional hands, which could hold objects like a record player, a television, or even a phone. Due to its distinctive design and relative rarity, the talking busy Barbie is especially valued today. An excellent quality doll can sell for $60 to even $500, especially if it's still in its original packaging. Dolls that are still sealed or have all of their original accessories on them are considerably more valuable. Let's look at another toy franchise that takes you from fashion icons to a galaxy far, far away.
Hello there.
Good afternoon. I'd like to see your Fisher-Price toys.
Fisher-Price toys. Retro Fisher-Price toys from the 1970s are now sought-after collector's items, depending on their condition and rarity. These cherished childhood toys might be worth anywhere from $25 to $150 or more. Fisher-Price toys from the era that were created in small quantities or that were withdrawn fast tend to be the most valued. For instance, if they're whole and in good shape, some Adventure People sets or specific Little People play sets might be highly valuable. These toys are significant because of their durability and happy memories that they bring. A lot of them are still in great playing condition after all of these years, which appeals to collectors as well as people who want to pass along their favorite toys to a younger generation.
Hey, music lovers. I'm Elvis Costello and the attraction.
Vinyl. In the 1980s and 1990s, a lot of people moved on to the compact disc, but there's been a spike in interest in 1970s vinyl records amongst music lovers and collectors looking for these long-lost analog gems. These recordings can be purchased for as little as $5 for a common release to as much as $1,000 for rare or extremely sought-after albums. 70s Beatles albums are especially desirable, and some editions can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. This era also produced some extremely collectible artists like David Bowie, Pink Floyd, and Led Zeppelin. The most expensive records are usually the first pressings, limited editions, and ones with unusual features like colored vinyl or unique artwork. It's important to consider the state of the record cover and the vinyl. The records with the grades of mint or near mint are the most expensive. From musical hits to sports hits, these board games may score you a financial home run.
Including complete color coverage of the bowl games and Super Bowl 15. It's yours free.
Sports Illustrated board games. When Sports Illustrated entered the board game market in 1971, they produced a baseball-themed game that was instantly popular with sports fans. By releasing new editions of the games every 2 years to correspond with the baseball season, they preserved America's favorite pastime during the early 1970s. Because of their limited manufacturing run and the fond memories they arouse in baseball enthusiasts, these games are valuable today. Gamers and collectors of sports memorabilia found the games appealing since they often had a realistic gameplay based on genuine player data. Sports Illustrated board games from the 1970s in good condition can sell for as much as $275, depending on the edition and its condition. In particular, games that are still in their original unopened packaging are particularly prized and can command even higher prices. Shifting from tabletop sports to real horsepower, classic 70s cars can fetch some cool cash.
Hi there. The 1970 Volkswagen has something new.
Classic cars. Several legendary cars from the 1970s are now highly prized collector's items. Rare and well-preserved models of vehicles like the 1970 Plymouth Barracuda, the 71 Plymouth Hemi-Cuda convertible, and the 1970 Chevrolet Chevelle SS 454 can reach values ranging from tens of thousands to millions of dollars. These cars are valuable because of a number of factors. It's all about rarity, with the most expensive being limited editions or ones with extremely large production runs. The state of the car is also crucial, and the most valuable are original and flawlessly unrestored autos. Performance is an additional consideration. Powerful muscle vehicles from this era are very prized. The 1971 Plymouth Hemi-Cuda convertible, which sold for more than $3 million at auction, is one notable example, and the 1970 Chevy Chevelle SS 454 LS6, in excellent condition, is worth over $1 million.
Stephen King's epic The Stand.
Stephen King's first editions. Several of Stephen King's best-selling books, including Carrie and The Shining, were published in the 1970s, and books by Stephen King are highly collectible, especially in first editions that come signed. Usually, his early books are the most expensive. The worth of these early pieces, which helped to establish King's reputation of the master of horror, may vary greatly, from $500 to $5,000 or more. The book and its dust jacket condition is important. Well-kept copies have the greatest prices, and for collectors, even later printings of these early pieces may be valuable. Speaking of valuable books, superhero comics from the era have supersized worth. Comics. 70s comic books are also very valuable, especially the ones with well-known superheroes in them. The era's Superman comics may be valued at anywhere from $3 to $8,600, depending on the issue and its condition. Comic books with important plots, milestone issues, rare or unusual misprints, as well as the initial debuts of well-known characters are usually the most valuable. Although Superman seems to be the most valuable one, don't discount many of the other 70s superhero comics that are in great demand. In excellent condition, Wolverine's debut in The Incredible Hulk number 180 from 1974 could fetch over $10,000. Books and literature in their first editions are usually the most valuable, especially if the author autographs them, and because even minor damage can significantly lower a book's value, its condition becomes crucial. If you think your book is worth something, it may be a good idea to have a professional appraisal. Vintage fashion. 70s era designer apparel has grown to be rather valuable, with some pieces selling for enormous amounts of money. Particularly sought-after brands include Gucci, Halston, and more. Rare or iconic items can cost anywhere from several hundred to several $1,000s. Their historical relevance in fashion and their impact on contemporary design are what give these objects their value. Lace smoking suits by YSL and simple evening gowns by Halston are two examples of iconic garments that are usually the most valuable. Value determination depends heavily on its condition, and the most precious items are those that are in superb shape and show no traces of wear or modification. But if an object is rare or noteworthy historically, even worn-out pieces may be worth something. Handbags and jewelry from the era's designers can fetch astronomical prices. For instance, authentic Gucci bamboo handle purses from the 1970s can fetch tens of thousands of dollars at auction. Now it's time to switch from haute couture to valuable timepieces.
Gold, Rolex, those two words go together. This gold Rolex.
Rolex Watches. Rolex watches from the 1970s have become highly coveted collector's items, with some models fetching astronomical prices. Depending on the model and its condition, A well-maintained Rolex from the 1970s may be valued anywhere from $5,000 to $50,000 or possibly more. Rolex's reputation for quality and luxury is a significant draw, and the rarity of certain models or specific features can dramatically increase their value. For instance, the Rolex Red Submariner from the early 1970s is particularly sought after due to its distinctive red text on the dial. The watch's condition is rather important, and the most expensive items are those that are 100% original and in outstanding shape. But if the watch is a rare model, it can still be worth something even after it's been serviced or has new parts. Amongst the most valuable Rolex models from the 1970s are the GMT Master, Daytona, and Submariner. Pyrex Glassware. These sturdy, vibrant glass jars were standard equipment in practically every kitchen in the 1970s. Vintage Pyrex is becoming a sought-after collectible these days, and this era's patterns and hues are especially in demand. For instance, the Spring Blossom, which is sometimes called Crazy Daisy and Butterfly Gold patterns, might bring a good price. A well-maintained set of antique Pyrex dishes could fetch up to $100 on the market, and some extremely rare items or designs could get several $100s. Original lids can also significantly raise their value. While some collectors want a complete set, others concentrate on certain patterns and colors. And if they're in exceptional condition or part of a full set, even the common patterns can have considerable value.
You know, we've had a bunch of these antique steamer or ship's trunk.
Antique trunks. Another thing to look out for is an antique trunk. Not only were these utilized as storage in the 1970s, they were also frequently employed as coffee tables or ornamental pieces. During this time period, trunks were usually constructed from solid wood, which gave them longevity, and their timeless beauty and high craftsmanship make them valuable today. 1970s antique trunks are becoming highly sought after as vintage decor pieces and practical storage. Their value can range anywhere from $100 to $700 depending on the type, rarity, and state, and some are even used for transportation, with many still bearing the original labels or markings that enhance their historical significance. The most sought-after trunks are those in superb condition, with little to no wear, and all of the original hardware still in place. A variety of styles and detailed decorations, including metal embellishments and unique shapes, can be found on these trunks, some of which are simple wooden boxes. Let's illuminate another 70s icon that could brighten up your bank balance.
Check out these treasures Greg found in an old cabinet in the Cord Studios. We've got on top a 1974 issue, Ali again.
Sports Illustrated magazines. Collecting 1970s Sports Illustrated magazines has become very valuable, with rare or special copies fetching prices anywhere from $20 to several $100s. The historical moments in sports that the magazines document only add to their value in addition to their age, and the most valuable issues are typically those that showcase legendary players or significant sporting moments. Cover issues with Muhammad Ali or issues from the 1972 Olympics may fetch a far greater price. The debut performances of legendary athletes like Terry Bradshaw or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar are likewise highly valued, and magazines that are in immaculate condition without any tears, stains, or writing inside are the most prized. And of course, those in their original wrappers are the most valued. From light reading material to pocket change, even small coins can be worth some big bucks. Pennies. While the majority of pennies are only worth 1 cent, some from the 1970s can be extremely valuable because of mistakes and uncommon mintage. For example, if the 1970 small date penny is in perfect condition, it can reach values of $25,000. Another example is the double-die obverse cent from 1972, which had a printing accident resulting in the lettering appearing doubled. It could bring in as much as $500. However, it goes beyond pennies. If they include certain mint marks or flaws, other coins from the 1970s like dollars and quarters can also be worth collecting.
Now, this is what makes stamps rare. Benjamin Franklin, 1 cent.
Stamps. Now let's talk about stamps. Many commemorative stamps that are now sought after by collectors were released in the 1970s. A few $100s can be found in the 1974 Legends of the West stamp sheet, for instance, which was recalled because of a mistake. The 1979 $1 Rush lamp and candle holder stamp with the flame reversed has sold for thousands of dollars, and that's another noteworthy discovery. Perfect conditions are very important for both coins and stamps. Items in mint or uncirculated condition are much more valuable than those that have signs of wear and tear. The value of stamps can also be influenced by elements like centering, which is basically how well the design is centered on the paper. Our final item takes us from flat collectibles to intricate timepieces from the Black Forest. Cuckoo Clocks. 70s-era cuckoo clocks, especially those from Germany's Black Forest, are now sought-after collectibles. The price of these complex clocks can vary greatly, according to everything from the creator, the design, and the condition, from $100 to several thousand. The most valuable clocks are the ones with elaborate and hand-carved patterns, which frequently showcase traditional German or natural sceneries. More features like intricate chimes, music boxes, or moving figures make a clock much more desirable, and the most valuable clocks are those that are operational and still have all of their original components. Additional factors that can raise the value include the inclusion of authentic documents or authenticity certificates, and among the most sought-after brands are Rombach & Haas, August Schwer, and Hubert Hare. Anniversary and limited edition models may fetch especially high prices. If you enjoyed this blast from the past, don't forget to like and subscribe, and tell me in the comments, which 70s treasures do you still have lying around? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.